Yo, what is up everybody, it's Joe the Guy. Welcome back to another Naruto reaction video here today. And today we got a video by the great Swagkage, and it is Kid Naruto is overpowered. Now guys, I can kind of see where Swag is going with this video just by the title, right? Because when you watch shonen anime specifically, you know, these main characters will get convenient boosts in power to give a satisfying conclusion within the storyline. So it makes sense why Naruto was so powerful as a child. You know, the things that he did with the Nine Tails chakra seeping out of him as he grew up, right? Against Zabuza, against his underling, right? Against Gaara later on, against Neji, right? So I can kind of see where Swag is already going with this, and I'm very interested to see what his take is on this, right? So I'm very intrigued. But before I begin, you know, I really appreciate it. Hit that like button, turn on bell notifications to stay up to date with yours truly. And if you're new and you enjoy, and you mess with the kid, make sure to hit the sub button, man, because once you do, become part of the family forever. But let's not waste any more time. Screen. Let's see what Swag has to say today.
Yo, how's it going, everybody? Swagkage.
What up?
And welcome to today's video where we're going to be taking a look at our boy Naruto Uzumaki and analyzing his strength at different points throughout the series. Now, anybody who's watched or read the series from front to back knows that this was supposed to be a story about a kid going from zero to hero. Kishimoto's goal was clearly to take Naruto from nothing and make him into this super hyper mega badass that everybody looked up to and nobody could beat. But what's interesting about this is that Naruto's always been pretty powerful. This video is mostly just an excuse for me to talk about how cool Kid Naruto is, despite the fact that the series doesn't really present him as a top tier fighter. And if enough people ask, I'll probably make a second video where I take a look at all of the forms of Naruto from Shippuden and onwards. For the sake of simplicity in this video, I'll be skipping through time between Naruto's major milestones, and I'll define a milestone as any time Naruto added something really major or significant to his arsenal, or any time there was a time skip that implied a large increase in both skill and power. So the first point in time we'll be taking a look at is Naruto as an academy student back when he pretty much couldn't do anything. He was like Rock Lee, but without the taijutsu skill at this point. I mean, the kid didn't have anything in his arsenal. No good ninjutsu, no good genjutsu, no good taijutsu. The only technique he was proficient with was the sexy jutsu, which was a variant of the very basic transformation jutsu, and even then, that was the only way he could effectively use it. When he attempted to transform into anything else, he failed. Then Mizuki attempted to take advantage of Naruto's unique blend of inaptitude and ambition by telling him to go and steal the fucking scroll of seals, which was a scroll that contained techniques so powerful that Hashirama Senju thought it needed to be stored away somewhere where nobody could get it. Now, the context for this isn't provided at the beginning of the series, but later on when you really get to know who Hashirama is and the sort of stuff that he's done before, the sheer magnitude of this sort of sinks in, because like Hashirama is the same guy who took 8 of the 9 Biju and just gave them away to the other villages. There was just something about this scroll that he thought was too dangerous to be left in the fucking hands of the public, and Naruto got his hands on it. Now, by some miracle, he managed to learn one of the forbidden jutsu contained within this scroll in a couple of hours, and that jutsu happened to be one that was perfect for him. It was the multi-shadow clone jutsu, a much better version of the standard shadow clone jutsu that allowed its user to create hundreds, if not thousands of clones, provided that they had enough chakra to do so. The reason it was considered dangerous enough to be written on this scroll, along with all of the other crazy jutsu that were probably there, like the 8 trigram sealing style, the Reaper Death Seal, possibly even the Flying Thunder God, and Edo Tensei, is because since the Shadow Clone Jutsu forces its user to evenly disperse their chakra among the clones they create, creating like 100 or 1,000 of them, I mean, it's killed people before. And this is where we're given the first indication of Naruto's dormant power. If the first Hokage thought this jutsu was too dangerous for widespread use, then there's no way this fucking 11, 12-year-old pre-Genin ninja should be able to pull it off so easily. Further context is provided for this feat later when Kakashi says that Genin shouldn't be able to use fire jutsu because of how much chakra it consumes. But like, what do you think saps more of your energy? Creating a fireball or cloning yourself like 500 times? Now, it's also later explained that one of the reasons why elemental jutsu are so hard to perform is because nature transformation is a thing, and that's something that people have to master. But still, at the time, Kakashi said chakra chakra, so the audience is led to believe that Naruto has a lot of it, like a lot of it.
Tons.
He also used this jutsu to kick the shit out of a Chunin with no effort at all. So at this point, episode 1/chapter 1 Naruto has already cemented himself at Chunin level. And
Correct.
This is without even mentioning he didn't seem to draw from the Nine Tails chakra to create this many clones. Now it's a bit hard to classify what I'm about to discuss as a milestone because Naruto makes use of this ability randomly and without any input of his own. But I want to briefly examine the first few appearances of what many people refer to as KN0 Naruto. This is Naruto in his initial Nine-Tails state without the tailed beast cloak, but even then with just a sliver of the Q-Beast chakra, he's able to pull off some pretty crazy shit. Most notably making Haku look like a bitch and punching through his ice mirrors with no effort at all, which is a little bit absurd because even Haku said that it's pretty tough to destroy the ice mirrors even using fucking fire jutsu. And then in the Forest of Death, Naruto used this same form to kick around one of Orochimaru's snake summons and even scared Orochimaru into using the 5-pronged sealing jutsu to keep Naruto from accessing the Nine Tails chakra out of fear that it may become a problem for him at some point in the future. Now, you can attribute most of this to the Nine Tails and not Naruto himself, since it's much more likely that Orochimaru was just scared by the idea of going up against a full-power Kyuubi Jinchuriki than it is that he was scared of Kid Naruto. But I still think that this was worth talking about because, like, Naruto did this with the smallest fraction of the Nine Tails chakra possible. You could easily consider both of these feats Jonin level plus because Zabuza considered Haku stronger than him, and while Orochimaru was scared enough of Naruto's power in this Nine Tails enhanced state to go out of his way to strengthen the seal keeping the Kyuubi inside of him, he didn't even bat an eye at Kakashi, one of the most skilled and famous ninjas in the entire world, and somebody you definitely expect to be much more threatening than Naruto. Now, this isn't to say that Naruto surpassed Kakashi at this point, because he didn't even...
Alright, so we're about halfway through this video, and I definitely want to get my 2 cents here. So, what Kishimoto did so well with his storyline creation was really emphasizing the Nine Tails, right? Because if the Nine Tails weren't a thing, right, it'd be much harder for us to appreciate and admire Naruto's story, right? So these unexplainable power boosts, well, they're explainable, but the point is these drastic increases in power make sense to us because of the Nine Tails, right? And yeah, the Nine Tails is its own separate entity, but to us, probably when we first started, it was a part of him. It was a part of Naruto. It was a part of who he was, right? His whole life revolved around the Nine Tails. He had a fucking shit childhood because of it. So it was really a part of him, right? Kurama was a part of Naruto. They were one, you know? So Kishimoto did a great job emphasizing that for the narrative, and it really, really enriched it, in my opinion. I think, you know, the Nine Tails is kind of this personification of Naruto's will, right? He has the will of fire, right? The will of fire that is so emphasized within Naruto. And I think, again, Kishimoto did a beautiful job personifying that will through Kurama, right? Kurama giving Naruto this incredible boost in power to the point where people like Orochimaru are threatened by him, right? That just shows and personifies the strong will that Naruto possessed throughout the entire storyline. So I think he was a perfect character to have this kind of power within his possession, right? And of course he didn't have control of it, but the fact that he had some access to it is quite brilliant by Kishimoto. You know, I think he did a beautiful job with that, and that's why I'm okay with Kid Boruto being overpowered. You know, I think the way Kishimoto set it all out was beautifully executed. You know, he beautifully executed this storyline, and is the reason why we, you know, admire and love Kid Naruto so much. You know, his personality, his character development, the way the Nine Tails presented itself in times of need, it was all beautifully executed by Kishimoto, and I think narratively it was all perfectly done. So that's my take so far, but let's continue with the video.
Come close, but I think it's still worth mentioning just because of how impressive it sounds when you apply context to it. The next point in time I want to focus on is the late Chunin exams when Naruto
of course
and subsequently Gaara. At this point, he showed that he was both capable of taming the Nine Tails chakra to a certain extent at least, and performing the summoning jutsu, though I'll get into that a bit later. So this Naruto puts both of the others to shame because, first of all, he one-shots Neji.
Correct.
Neji boxed with Rock Lee on a regular basis and consistently went to town on him.
Right.
But Naruto took him out with one punch. That sort of speaks for itself, but it's not even close to as impressive as what Naruto pulls off in the fight against Gaara, where he severely damages, I might add, a partially transformed Gaara. The same Gaara who survived getting hit by a Chidori, and a Gaara who is presumably much more durable than the Gaara who fought Rock Lee.
Correct.
He beat, by the way, despite the fact that Lee opened the 3rd gate, the 4th gate, and the 5th gate. Like, you can say this is reaching if you really want to, but no matter how you look at it, that makes Naruto's punches here comparable to those of 3rd and 4th gate Rock Lee. Naruto also creates 2,000 shadow clones in this fight, and still somehow has enough chakra left over to summon fucking Gamma Bunta. He then goes on to fight an actual tailed beast and wins, then successfully talk no jutsu's Gaara into becoming a good guy.
Right.
Now, when I said that what Naruto did in the Forest of Death and on the Great Naruto Bridge in KN0 was Jonin level plus, that may have been reaching just a little bit, but I don't think anybody's gonna get too upset if I say that this shit borders on Kage level. And keep in mind, this is in like the 2nd arc of the series, maybe the 3rd if you consider the first half of the Chunin exam a different arc than the 2nd. Then after this, in the arc immediately following this one, Naruto learns how to perform the Rasengan, a jutsu known only to Kakashi, Jiraiya, and Minato, a Jonin, one of the Sannin, and the 4th Hokage. I'd also like to point out that all 3 of these people either were Hokage or were candidates for Hokage, so if you want to say that managing to perform the Rasengan is a Kage level feat, feel free to. I'm not gonna stop you. He then uses the Rasengan to practically one-shot Kabuto, this guy who is effortlessly dealing with Tsunade, who happened to become the 5th Hokage practically the day after this fight happened. And I mean, even if you don't want to consider that Kage level, Naruto still dealt with a Jonin with little difficulty. So I mean, view it however you want to, it's still pretty fucking impressive.
Yes,
now,
it is.
Surprisingly, in the Sasuke retrieval arc, Naruto doesn't do anything nearly as impressive as anything I've talked about up to this point.
Right.
He pulls off some pretty insane stuff during his fight with Sasuke, but most of it is stuff we've already seen before, up until the point he enters the one-tailed cloak state for the first time. We don't get to see what he's capable of in it for very long, but anyway, I think the most impressive feat he has in this arc is surviving getting hit by a Chidori at point blank, and then just getting up and acting like nothing happened. Sasuke
Yeah, that's crazy.
that this Chidori should have either taken out Naruto's lung completely or punctured a hole in it. So not only did he regenerate that massive hole in his shoulder, he also healed critical damage to one of his vital organs. The anime version of the fight has him doing some shit that's pretty nutty, like creating this massive ladder of clones and using it to slam Sasuke.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
But in the manga, his feats aren't quite as ridiculous, and the only noteworthy thing that really happens is him regenerating, like I just mentioned.
Right.
So then, that covers everything that took place during part 1, but before I go, let me just briefly recap everything that I've mentioned in the video so far, and touch on a few things that I might not have gotten to yet, just to make sure that the sort of stuff Naruto was pulling off right from the beginning really sinks in for all of it.
Right.
He masters a Jonin plus level forbidden jutsu, assists in the takedown of a Jonin and his Jonin tier comrade, makes it to the final rounds of the Chunin exams, goes undefeated in a series of one-on-one battles against Kiba, and the prodigy of the Hyuga clan himself, Neji, defeats a tailed beast in one-on-one combat, one-shots Kabuto. He also masters 2 Jonin to Kage level jutsu, and of course there's all of the shenanigans in the Sasuke retrieval arc, like spamming shadow clones and Rasengan like it doesn't even matter, regenerating a punctured lung, and all that other juicy stuff. Anyway, that's gonna be all from me. Thanks as always for watching the video all the way to
Great
the end.
video,
If you
man.
have any thoughts,
It
questions,
definitely did
or
Kid
just
Naruto
general
justice.
comments in the comment section below. Make sure to let me know if you want a follow-up video about all of the later versions of Naruto. And until my next video, I'll talk to you later. Swagkage
Peace out, Swag.
Bye.
Alright, there you guys have it. That was a great video by Swagkage, I might add, as always. Doing a great job with the videos. So I gotta get my take here for sure. So again, Kishimoto really beautifully developed Naruto as a character. You know, having him start out as fodder, as a loser, as someone no one gave a shit about, and then rising his way through the shinobi society, right? Within Konoha, within the shinobi world, and really cementing his legacy through grind. You know, that's what we appreciate, you know, the underdog story where a guy grinds until he gets there, right? Going from a loser to someone that defeats Neji, to someone that takes down a fucking tailed beast in Gaara, to someone who fights Akatsuki level members, someone who defeats the god of the world at the time, Pain. You know, the things that he accomplishes are increasingly more and more impressive. And again, Kishimoto beautifully personified his will through the use of Kurama, right? Kurama, again, is a personification of Naruto's will, of Naruto's mindset to never give up, right? And that's the reason why he was allowed to have these powers granted by Kurama, right? And again, they are one. Basically, they are one. And when we think of Naruto, we think of the Nine Tails. And Kishimoto made sure to emphasize that, again, to show and personify Naruto and his willpower. So he did a beautiful job with Naruto. And that's the way that you set up a main character. You know, someone with the kind of personality that Naruto has, trying to give off the vibe that Kishimoto tried to give off of with the Naruto anime. He did a beautiful job with it. Did a beautiful job with Naruto. And I think he did deserve to be overpowered. I think it all blended perfectly. It was a perfect mix of him being a loser and then him becoming something else entirely, him becoming Hokage, you know. It was all beautifully executed by Kishimoto overall. And that's why I'm okay with Kid Naruto, again, being overpowered. It all added up. It all made these memorable, amazing moments that will forever live on in Naruto history. I think, again, Swagkage made a great video and definitely did Kid Naruto justice, you know, laying out the most memorable and most impressive of moments of Naruto in his childhood, right? He did some amazing things, man, amazing things that make sense, you know, that makes sense. When you just give the character this kind of absolute power without any real grind, it's not as satisfying. Now, someone like Saitama, right? He's a gag character. He's supposed to be a gag character, but even so, it's not that satisfying when he just is just all powerful, seemingly undefeatable guy that just shits on everyone, right? It's not as satisfying. So Kishimoto did a damn good job, and overall, this was a great video, and I enjoyed it thoroughly, guys. Let me know of any other recommendations you might have. Let me know what you thought about this video. What do you think about Kid Naruto? Was he a good character? Was he well written, or was he not? Maybe you disagree with me and Swagkage altogether. Either way, I'm still interested to hear your thoughts, so please leave them in the comments. But that's gonna wrap it up. Thank you for all the support, and I'll catch you in the next video. This is Jay the Great signing out. Peace.